My parents called me the mistake child for years, while my golden brother got everything handed to him. When I finally snapped, they called the cops on my uncle for helping me. But it backfired spectacularly. Hey Reddit, I'm not the type to post and I've kept quiet about all of it for way too long, but after how things went recently, I just need to let it all out somewhere. I, Jack 16 male, don't even know how to start this, honestly. I guess, yeah, I the older kid, the firstborn, technically. But growing up, I was always treated like the extra one, like I wasn't supposed to be here. And believe me, they made that clear 100 times over. I was born when my parents were still in college. They weren't ready. They made sure I knew that too. Whenever something went wrong, it was always, if we didn't have Jack, we wouldn't be in this mess. Or, we missed out on everything because of you. That kind of stuff. No filter, no hesitation. My dad once even said, "You were the mistake that changed everything." He laughed after, like it was some kind of joke. But I was 10. That stuck with me. Things got worse when James, 14 male, came along. James was their second kid, but he might as well have been the only kid. He was planned. That's what they called him. The real child. I was just the thing they had to drag along. They kept telling everyone how they were in a better place now, more stable, and how James was going to have everything they couldn't give me. That's exactly what they did too. He got everything. When James was 5, he got diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. That's when things really went downhill for me. Suddenly, he became untouchable. Untouchable and untouchably spoiled. Every tiny thing revolved around James. His food, his routine, his moods, his bedtime, his blood sugar numbers. You name it. Meanwhile, I was expected to just exist in the background and not make any noise. At some point, I remember my mom saying to me, "Why couldn't you have been the one with diabetes? You're stronger. James is too delicate." Like, what the hell do you even say to that? I just stood there, frozen. That's the kind of crap they'd throw at me regularly, like it was normal parenting. I'm not mad at James for having diabetes, obviously, but the way they used it to turn him into some mini dictator, that pissed me off. They let him get away with everything. He could scream at me, hit me, blame me for stuff he did, and they'd side with him no questions asked. I once got grounded for eating the last cookie in the house, except it wasn't me. James literally had chocolate on his face when they yelled at me. Didn't matter. The older I got, the worse it felt. I'd watch James get brand new toys, custom stuff for his diabetes, special snacks, and even tech. He got a tablet before he was 10. I had to use an old laptop with a cracked screen that overheated every 15 minutes. And yeah, I still got in trouble if my schoolwork wasn't perfect. But the messed up part? I didn't even care about the stuff. I just wanted like basic decency. Or a thank you. Or for someone to notice when I did something right. Just once. Every time I'd say something, even really politely, I'd get shut down. My dad would say I was trying to steal attention from my brother, and my mom would throw the guilt line. "He's sick, Jack. He has to live with this forever. What do you have to complain about?" Like my whole identity was being not sick and unwanted. I kept my head down. I stopped asking for stuff. I stayed out of the way. But it wasn't enough. James learned quick that he could lie and say, I hit him, or said something mean, and I'd be grounded. Every time. No questions asked. Once he pushed me down the stairs, like actually shoved me, and told my parents I tripped. I limped for a week, and I still got grounded because you probably did something to provoke him. I was barely speaking to them unless I had to. I focused on school, stayed in my room, and tried to survive till I could leave. The only person who ever really gave a crap was my uncle Andrew, 38 male. He'd visit every few weeks, bring snacks, talk to me like I was a person. That was rare. That meant more to me than he probably realized. Last Christmas was when stuff really snapped. Uncle Andrew got both me and James a Nintendo Switch. I couldn't believe it. I'd been wanting one for years, and I almost cried opening it. I didn't even know what to say. I hugged him, probably too hard. It felt like someone finally saw me. James threw his on the floor, mad that it wasn't a PS5. Didn't even say thank you. I didn't care. I had mine. I was playing Zelda, completely sucked into it. It was like this little piece of joy that was mine, and nothing else mattered for once. That didn't last long, though. I don't remember every second of what happened that day. It's kind of blurry, but also burned into my brain at the same time. Like a bad dream you can't unsee, you know? So a couple days after Christmas, I was in my room playing Zelda, finally having fun for once. I wasn't even doing anything crazy, just sitting on the floor, console in hand, totally into the game. I felt normal, like a kid, which I don't get to feel like very often. Then it all blew up. Mom came barging into my room like a storm. No knock, no warning, just yelling already. What did you do? She screamed, grabbing the switch right out of my hands. I thought something happened, like a fire or someone got hurt. But nope. Apparently, I broke James's switch. I'm just sitting there stunned, like, what are you talking about? I didn't touch his. But she's not even listening. She's already in full rage mode. He's crying in his room. He said you snapped it in half. She's yelling like I'm some kind of psycho. And I look around, trying to process what's happening. And I realize James is doing it again. He broke his switch and blamed me. And just like always, she believed him. No proof, no questions, just instant blame on me. I swear, I felt something inside me twist. I'd been blamed for so much over the years. Things I didn't do, stuff he started, things that went wrong just because I was around. But this time, it wasn't just blame. She took something from me. Something I actually loved. Something I waited years for. Something he didn't even care about. I remember standing up and saying, I didn't break anything. And she snapped right back, don't lie, Jack. Just admit it. Why can't you stop being jealous for once? Jealous. That word hit me sideways. Like, I was the one getting grounded for his lies, ignored for his needs, punished for breathing too loud, and I'm jealous? Something in me just broke. I didn't even think. I walked out of my room, past my mom still ranting, and into James's room. There he was, sitting on his bed with his usual smug face. He had this fake sad look like he was practicing for a movie role, but I saw right through it. His broken switch was on the floor next to him, split at the hinge like he probably stomped on it. When he saw me, his whole face changed. It was quick. His little fake sadness turned to oh crap in like half a second. I didn't yell. I didn't say anything. I just walked over and grabbed him by the collar and shoved him up against the wall. And I lost it. What's wrong with you? I shouted, shaking him. Why can't you just leave me alone? Why do you always have to ruin everything? He tried to push me away, but I didn't care. I grabbed his shirt tighter, and before I even knew what I was doing, I had my hand around his throat. Not squeezing hard, just enough for him to feel it. He was squirming, trying to yell, but I wasn't letting go. I don't remember exactly what I said next, but it was something like, tell the truth. Tell them you lied. I could hear Mom screaming behind me, and then she started hitting me. Like actually hitting me on the back and arm, but I barely felt it. I just saw red. I was shaking. My whole body felt hot. Finally, James choked out, okay, I did it. I broke it. I let go and stepped back. He fell to the floor coughing and gasping, and I just ran. I didn't know where I was going. I didn't grab anything. I just bolted out the front door in my socks and hoodie. My legs didn't stop until I reached the one place I felt safe, Uncle Andrew's apartment. He lives maybe 20 minutes away by foot. I don't even remember the walk. My head was spinning the whole time. My face was soaked. Not sure if it was sweat or tears or both. I was shaking. My hands were numb, and I could barely breathe. I knocked like a maniac. He opened the door super fast, and when he saw me, he didn't say anything at first. Just pulled me inside, closed the door, and sat me on the couch. I couldn't even speak. I was just shaking and trying not to cry. But of course I cried. Like a total mess. I couldn't hold it in. It felt like every crappy thing that happened in the last 10 years just exploded out of me at once. Uncle Andrew sat down next to me. Didn't ask anything yet. Just let me cry it out. When I finally calmed down a little, he asked, Jack, what happened? And I told him. Everything. The switch. The lie. The choking. The years of being treated like I didn't exist. The mistake child crap. The time Mom told me I should have been the one with diabetes. All of it. He didn't interrupt. Didn't look shocked. Just listened. And when I was done, he nodded and said, You're staying here tonight. No arguments. Then the phone calls started. My parents blew up his phone, yelling at him to send me back home, that I had attacked my little brother and had a lot to answer for. Uncle Andrew looked me in the eye and said, We'll go. Together. You're not doing this alone. Next day, we went. I didn't want to, but I needed to face it, I guess. I didn't want to look like I was hiding. We showed up, and the second the door opened, I saw James peek from behind my mom and immediately shrink back like he saw a ghost. My dad was already yelling before I even stepped inside. You assaulted your brother. You need to apologize right now. This behavior is unforgivable. But Uncle Andrew cut him off, calm but firm. Jack, sit down, he said, then turned to them. I want to hear James say what happened, in front of all of us. James looked nervous, real nervous. But Uncle kept staring at him, waiting. James? Andrew asked again. Tell the truth. James finally mumbled, I broke it. I didn't want Jack to be so happy. I didn't like it. It went dead quiet. Mom looked like she was about to say something, but Uncle Andrew held up his hand. Jack, go sit in the car, he said. I did. And as I walked out, I heard silence behind me for the first time in years. No yelling, no blaming, just silence. And that was the first time I felt like maybe, just maybe, I wasn't crazy after all. Staying at Uncle Andrew's was supposed to feel like freedom, and for the first couple days, it honestly did. His place was quiet. No screaming, no stomping down the hallway, no random accusations, just calm. I had a real bed, not the old creaky one I had at home with the one broken leg my dad never fixed. Andrew even gave me a blanket that didn't smell like mildew or whatever detergent my mom always bought that made my eyes water. The first morning I woke up there, I didn't panic. That alone felt weird. I didn't have to check my phone to see what fresh hell I was waking up to. No, get up, Jack. You're already late, even if it was Saturday. No guilt tripping about how hard they work and how I should be more useful. Uncle Andrew made eggs, nothing fancy. Just scrambled eggs and toast, but he let me sleep in. I sat at the kitchen table still in my hoodie and socks while he read the paper like a 50-year-old man even though he's not even that old. And for the first time, in what felt like forever, someone asked me how I wanted my eggs. Not how James liked them. Me. But of course, peace doesn't last long when your parents are control freaks. By that afternoon, my phone started buzzing. First my mom, then my dad, then my mom again. They went from come home now to you're being dramatic to how dare you make us look bad in front of Andrew. I ignored every message. I wanted to throw the phone into the wall, honestly. But Andrew saw me gripping it so tight my knuckles turned white and told me to turn it off. You don't owe anyone your attention right now, he said. So I powered it down. That was day 1. Day 2, they showed up. Straight up knocked on Andrew's door like they owned the place. I was in the living room watching Stranger Things, trying to finally relax, and I heard the knock and just froze. My chest tightened. I knew it was them. No one else knocks like that. All aggressive and impatient. Andrew answered. Didn't even flinch. My mom tried pushing past him like she was going to storm in and drag me out herself. We're here for our son, she snapped. Andrew didn't budge. He's staying here for now. He's our child, she said, all proud and puffed up. Andrew tilted his head. And look how well you've treated him. She looked like she wanted to slap him, but she knew she couldn't get away with that here. My dad stepped forward, acting like he was trying to keep the peace, but his tone gave him away. Jack needs to come home. He's already caused enough damage. Jack is fine, Andrew said, calm but firm. He's safe. He's welcome to stay as long as he needs. Mom went off. Loud. You're poisoning him against us. We didn't raise him to be ungrateful. He assaulted his own brother. Do you even know how serious that is? At this point, I came to the door. I didn't want to, but I couldn't just hide forever. I looked them both in the eyes. My mom looked furious, like I'd betrayed her by not being a doormat. My dad looked tired and angry at the same time. I'm not coming back, I said. You took everything from me. You didn't even ask what happened before grounding me. You gave James my console. You called me a mistake. You said I should have been the one with diabetes. You never treated me like your son. Mom rolled her eyes so hard I thought her face would get stuck. Don't be dramatic. We had it hard, okay? You were an accident, yes, but we still raised you. We gave you a roof. Yeah, I said, and made sure I never forgot I was an accident. You made me feel like garbage for existing. Andrew stepped between us again. I think that's enough. You should leave. My dad gave me one last look and said, You'll regret this. They left. That night I cried again. Not because I missed them, hell no, but because I finally said it out loud. All of it. No filter. And Andrew just sat with me and let me fall apart. He didn't say, be strong or you'll be fine. He just was there. But like I said, peace wasn't going to come easy. For the next week, they didn't stop. My mom started texting my school friends' parents, asking if they'd seen me, acting like I'd run away. Some of my friends messaged me like, hey, your mom's being weird. I told them not to answer her. She even emailed one of my teachers, trying to say I was mentally unstable and being manipulated by my uncle. She actually tried to make it look like Andrew was the problem. My teacher called Andrew just to check in, and luckily, he already knew how twisted my parents could be. They tried calling Andrew's landlord, claimed he was housing a violent minor. The landlord laughed them off. Meanwhile, James, that little punk didn't even try to apologize. I saw on his Instagram that he posted a story with my Switch and tagged it, finally got one that works LOL. I nearly smashed my phone. Andrew saw it too and said, Kid needs a serious reset. I just nodded. There wasn't anything left to say. At school, things were awkward for a few days. Word had gotten around that something went down at my house. One teacher pulled me aside and asked if I wanted to talk to the counselor. I didn't. Not yet, anyway. I was still too raw. I started getting used to the silence at Andrews. Like, real silence. Not the kind where you're waiting for yelling to start again. I could study, game, sleep, even just sit around and think without my anxiety bouncing off the walls. Andrew gave me space. He didn't ask me to explain myself every day. Didn't act like I owed him gratitude for not being a terrible person. He just cooked dinner, asked how school was, watched TV with me. Sometimes we didn't talk at all, and it was fine. But even though I was in a safer place, my brain was still wired to panic. I'd wake up some mornings thinking I overslept, and Mom was about to bust in and scream. I kept bracing for texts from her, or some visit from my dad with another guilt trip. I checked my back way more than any normal kid should. Trauma's weird like that. You finally get quiet, and it's still too loud inside your own head. By the end of the second week, I had to turn my phone back on to check in with school and get a few files for a project. There were like 60 unread messages from Mom alone, all different moods, angry, weepy, accusing, pretending to be nice. One of them literally said, "I hope you realize the damage you've caused your brother. He cried all night. Like I'm supposed to feel bad for the kid who stole from me and lied to ruin my life." I showed Andrew. He asked me if I wanted to block them both. I thought about it. Really thought about it. Then I did it. Blocked my mom. Blocked my dad. Blocked James, too. It felt weird. Not good. Not bad. Just quiet. That night, I slept through the whole night for the first time in I don't even know how long. Things were finally starting to feel, I don't know, stable. Not perfect, but quieter. It was weird getting used to that. I kept waking up thinking something awful was about to happen, but it didn't. No yelling, no guilt tripping, no "James needs you to be more mature" crap. Just Andrew in the kitchen making toast or reading something on his phone while drinking coffee like a totally normal person. It had been like 3 weeks since I moved in. I was finally sleeping through the night. I had my own little routine. School, homework, gaming, dinner, repeat. It still felt off sometimes, but at least I wasn't walking on broken glass like back at home. My phone stayed blocked. No texts from my mom, no fake apologies, no weird guilt bombs from my dad. It was kind of peaceful. So of course, that's when everything went sideways. It was a Saturday morning. I was sitting on the couch with my Switch, playing Tears of the Kingdom. Andrew was in the kitchen frying something. We were just doing our thing when there was a knock on the door. Not a friendly knock. Not a, "Hey, it's your neighbor" knock. This was heavy, repetitive, like someone trying to be intimidating. Andrew looked up from the stove. "That's not Amazon," he muttered. I got this weird feeling in my chest, like everything froze inside me. I think I knew. Before he even opened the door, I knew. He walked over, opened it, and boom. 2 cops, real deal. Badges, uniforms, that whole serious cop face thing. I froze. My heart started pounding so loud I couldn't hear anything at first. Andrew stepped out onto the porch and closed the door mostly behind him, but not all the way. I could still hear a bit. "Can I help you, officers?" he said. Calm. Way calmer than I would have been. One of them said something like, "We got a report that a minor was being unlawfully kept here against his parents' wishes." I swear my stomach dropped to the floor. "Are you kidding me?" They called the cops. On Andrew. I stood there behind the door trying to listen, heart hammering, hands sweaty. The older cop asked, "Is Jack here?" Andrew didn't miss a beat. "Yes, he is. And he's here because he wants to be here. He's not being forced or held. His parents filed a complaint," the younger one said. "Claimed he was taken without consent." Taken? They made it sound like Andrew kidnapped me. Like I was some missing person being held hostage in the guest room. Andrew asked if they had any paperwork. They said they didn't, just that they were asked to do a wellness check. He told them they could speak to me, but only if I was okay with it. I was standing just inside, still in my hoodie and socks, listening through the crack in the door like I was in some bad drama show. Andrew stepped back in and looked at me. "Jack, you okay talking to them?" I nodded. I didn't want to, but I also didn't want to look like I was hiding. So I stepped outside, heart racing, and stood in front of 2 cops who were now looking at me like I was some confused, brainwashed teenager. "You okay, son?" the older one asked. "Yeah," I said. "I live here now." "You sure? You're not being kept here or anything? You're here by choice?" I nodded again. "My parents treat me like garbage. They called me a mistake my whole life, gave everything to my little brother and blamed me for his crap. They're mad because I finally left. The younger cop looked surprised. The older one looked tired. He sighed and said, "Unfortunately, parents don't always take it well when their kid grows up faster than they did." Andrew handed them some documents. His lease, my school contact info, probably stuff he had prepared just in case. He was smart like that. They read through it, talked quietly, then said, "All right, doesn't look like there's anything criminal here." No kidding. They left after that. I stood in the doorway for a full minute after they were gone, just trying to process that they seriously tried to get the cops involved. Like, what kind of people do that? Andrew shut the door and looked at me. "You okay?" he asked. "Yeah," I lied. I wasn't. I wasn't scared of the cops or anything. I was just so done. Like, I knew my parents were bad. I knew they were entitled, manipulative, all that. But this? Calling the cops on their own brother because he gave me a place to stay? That hit a whole different level. Later that night, Andrew and I talked more. He told me that he'd already figured they'd pull something, which is why he kept records. Emails, texts, even copies of school reports showing how I was doing better since moving in. He said, "They can't control you anymore, so they're going to try controlling everything around you." That stuck with me. The next day, guess what happened? I got an email from my mom. Yeah, she found a way around the block list. New email address. It said stuff like, "I can't believe you let him turn you against us. You're destroying our family. James is in therapy now because of what you did." And my favorite line, "We called the police because we feared for your safety, not because we wanted to hurt you." Bulletin absolute bull. If they cared about my safety, they wouldn't have thrown me under the bus for 16 years. I didn't reply. Instead, I screenshotted the email and sent it to Andrew. He added it to his little folder of chaos, as he called it, just in case. I didn't hear anything from my dad. He probably thinks silence makes him look more mature or something. Or maybe he's just embarrassed that the cops showed up, and I didn't come crawling back like they expected. At school, I started feeling more normal. People stopped asking questions. A couple kids told me I looked less dead inside, which honestly might be the nicest compliment I've ever gotten. I kept doing my thing, studying, gaming, eating meals that weren't passive-aggressively tossed on the table. Andrew even helped me with a history project and didn't act like I was wasting his time. But the damage was still there. I was always waiting for something bad to happen. Like, if things felt too good, I'd start getting paranoid. Like maybe James would fake something again. Maybe my mom would try showing up at school. Maybe someone would try to talk sense into me. That's how deep it went. Andrew told me I should probably talk to someone about it, like a real counselor. I didn't say yes, but I didn't say no either. He said, "You don't have to be okay right away, Jack. You just have to keep moving." And I'm trying. I'm still pissed, still hurt, still tired. But I'm not letting them drag me back. I'm not falling for the fake tears and guilt texts and bogus "we did our best" speeches. Because the second they called the cops on Andrew, I realized something. They don't want me happy. They want me obedient. And that's not happening anymore. I thought that'd be the end of it, honestly. I figured I could just block them, stay with Andrew, and move on. But nope. That's when the rest of the family started getting involved. It started as a suggestion from one of my cousins. Word had already spread through the family. Some of them got bits of the story from my mom, twisted and sanitized, obviously. Others got the real version through Uncle Andrew, or the few people in the family who actually saw through my parents' crap. Then someone said, "Let's just settle this in person." One of the older relatives, I think. A whole family meeting. Like it was some courtroom drama. Andrew asked me if I was okay with that. I wasn't. Not at first. The idea of walking into a house full of people who either thought I was a troublemaker or didn't care either way? Yeah, no thanks. But then I started thinking, maybe it's time. Maybe if I actually say everything, out loud, where they can't twist it or talk over me, I'll finally get to breathe. So I said, yeah, let's do it. The meeting was held at my parents' house, of course. Their turf. Neutral ground wasn't an option because my mom insisted she was still the mother and deserved respect. Andrew told me I didn't have to go in alone, and I didn't plan to. He came with me. The second we walked in, it was packed. Like 30 people there. Uncles, aunts, cousins, grandparents. Even some of the younger kids were sitting around like they were waiting for the next episode of a show. I could see Mom already in performance mode, puffy eyes like she'd been crying, holding a tissue she probably didn't even use. My dad was sitting with his arms crossed, all serious like he was some misunderstood victim. James wasn't there. Or maybe he was hiding in his room. I didn't care. They told me I could speak first. I didn't really prepare anything. I didn't want it to sound rehearsed. So I just started talking. I told them everything. How I was born when they weren't ready. How they reminded me of that every chance they got. How James was treated like royalty while I was the servant. How every time I asked for basic fairness, I got scolded or told to be more understanding. I told them about the mistake child comments, the guilt, the switch, the choking incident, the cop visit, everything. And I cried. Not ugly sobbing or anything, but yeah, tears. And I didn't even try to stop them this time. I remember saying, I don't hate them. I just don't want to be in a house where I'm not wanted. Then I stopped talking. It went quiet for a moment. Then one of the elders asked me gently, "Why did you grab your brother like that? That's not like you." I looked at him and said, "I honestly don't know. I just snapped. I was done being the punching bag. I was done losing everything while being blamed for things I didn't do." I saw him with my switch, and something inside me broke. Then I broke. Right there in front of all of them. One of my cousins came over and helped me out to the backyard to breathe. I thought I'd hear yelling from inside, but I didn't. When I came back in, that's when it got interesting. My dad stood up, looked around, then looked at me. "It was my fault," he said. I was so shocked I forgot how to blink. "I failed as a father," he went on. "I thought I was teaching Jack to be responsible. I thought pushing him harder would make him stronger. I thought James needed more because of his health. But I didn't see what I was doing to Jack. I ignored him. I treated him like he was disposable. He looked like someone just knocked the wind out of him. I thought I was being fair. I wasn't. It was quiet after that. I think some people were just stunned that he actually said it. Then they asked my mom to speak. Of course, she started with the fake apology voice. "I didn't know Jack was hurting. If he'd just said something," I interrupted. "I did. So many times. You called me jealous. You said I should have been the one with diabetes. You laughed when I cried." She froze, then went straight back into guilt mode. "But you're the big brother. You're supposed to sacrifice. That's our family code." Oh boy, wrong move. The elders, especially the older women, did not take that well. One of my aunts snapped, "Sacrificing doesn't mean suffering in silence." Another one said, "You use tradition to justify abuse. That's not family code, that's control." And then it just kept going. My mom got roasted from every direction. Someone brought up how she treated me even when James wasn't around. Another aunt said she always noticed I looked scared every time someone raised their voice. My grandpa said he was ashamed he didn't step in sooner. It wasn't just yelling. It was like realization. Like everyone finally saw what I'd been saying for years. My mom tried to cry her way out of it. Tried to say she didn't know better. That she was stressed. That she just wanted her sons to get along. But it didn't land this time. My dad didn't even defend her. That's how bad it was. Eventually, they asked about James. What was going to happen with him? That's when one of my uncles stood up. He's the vice principal at a boarding school. He said James needed structure, discipline, a place where he couldn't manipulate people with lies and fake tears, a place where he wasn't the golden child. He said James could start next month, that he'd personally look out for him, that the school would give him what he really needed, boundaries. My mom lost it. "You want to take him away from me?" The elders shut that down fast. "You had your chance," someone said. "You failed both your sons." And then they turned to me. "What do you want, Jack?" I didn't really know what to say, so I kept it simple. "I just want peace. I want to finish school. I want to live somewhere I'm not scared all the time." They all nodded. It was agreed that I'd stay with Andrew until I graduated. After that, I'd decide what to do. Move back with my dad if things ever got better, stay with Andrew, or go to college housing. James would be transferred to the boarding school. My mom could visit me if she made an effort to fix things, but she wouldn't have custody or say over anything. Not anymore. Andrew offered to take care of everything. School fees, paperwork, therapy sessions if I wanted them. I said yes. I wanted to feel okay again someday, and I figured maybe therapy would help. That night back at Andrew's, I felt, I don't know, lighter. I still didn't trust it fully. Still waiting for the other shoe to drop. But that weight on my chest? It was finally a little less heavy. And for once, I wasn't the only one who saw what they'd done. Everyone saw it now. James left the house a week after the family meeting. It felt weird. After years of him getting everything, watching him roll a suitcase out like he was getting exiled or something, I didn't even know how to react. I wasn't happy. I wasn't sad. Just blank. Uncle Andrew drove us by the house that morning. We didn't talk about it. He just said, "Let's go for a drive." We stopped a street over where we could kind of see the front door. Not stalker level, just enough to peek. My mom and James came out first. She looked exhausted, like she wanted people to see how hard this was on her. James didn't look upset, just annoyed, like he was being grounded. My dad came out behind them, carrying a bag, looking like he wanted to be anywhere else. We watched them load the car. No yelling, no chaos, just silence. After a minute, Andrew said, "All right, let's go get some food." And just like that, the James chapter closed, at least for now. He was headed to a strict boarding school. Nothing over the top, just structured. Real rules, chores, no tech during school hours, mentors. Basically the opposite of how he was raised. Part of me wondered if it'd fix him. Maybe it'd knock the smug out of him. Or maybe he'd fake his way through like he always did. Either way, it wasn't my problem anymore. Meanwhile, Mom went into meltdown mode. Not to me, obviously. I had her blocked. But she started messaging everyone else. Guilt texting aunts, cousins, anyone who'd listen, saying I'd turned the whole family against her and ruined James's future. One of my aunts replied, "You raised one son. You neglected the other." That shut her up for a few days. My dad actually did something different. He stopped talking. No texts, no angry emails. Then, out of nowhere, he dropped off a box at Andrew's place. Some of my old stuff, hoodies, notebooks, things I thought they threw out. He didn't come inside, just handed it off and said, "If you need anything else, let me know." Progress, I guess. Life with Andrew stayed the same. Quiet, solid. He made dinner like usual, cracked bad jokes at the TV, asked about school but didn't hover. I started doing better. Teachers noticed. One even asked what changed, and I just shrugged. What changed was, I wasn't terrified anymore. I wasn't waking up dreading what fake crime I'd be accused of. I could just be, think, breathe. I cleaned my room because I wanted to, not because someone screamed at me. I started jogging in the mornings. I even said yes to therapy. First session wasn't some big emotional breakthrough. I told the therapist, "I want to stop flinching when someone raises their voice." She said, "Good place to start." One night, Andrew and I were watching some cooking show where people screamed over burnt risotto, and I asked, "Do you think James will change?" He didn't even look up. Only if he wants to. That sat with me. A few days later, I got a DM on Instagram from James. Some short apology that looked like a counselor made him write it. I left it on read. For once, I didn't feel like I owed anyone a response.